What does Marlon and Nick over at World Envision, Justin P. from Support Black Colleges, the brothers Dame and Benji over at Two Noles, and Tez all have in common that have allowed for them to build $1 million clothing brands? We'll discuss in this episode of Making the Brand. Welcome to Making the Brand, where we talk everything you need to know about defining and amplifying your brand. My name is Michael the Antro. I am the owner of ECG Graphics and Printing. My print shop is located in Southern California. And with me owning a print shop, you can only imagine the different types of clothing lines and brands that come through my doors every single day. And through those relationships, I've seen a lot of things that allow for some clothing lines to be more successful than others. So in Making the Brand, I discuss all of those things with you. If that's something that you're interested in, please consider subscribing to the channel. You can do that by hitting that subscribe button, also banging on that notification. All of the names that I dropped in the beginning of the video, what they have in common is they all have personal brands. So many of you might be afraid or apprehensive on what's the purpose of you having, or what's the benefit of you having a personal brand when you're trying to build a clothing brand. Shouldn't they be separate? Honestly, no, they should not be separate. They should go hand in hand. So on my social media and in the in-person relationships that I'm building with different clothing brands, I've noticed that a lot of them are very similar. And in most cases, if I sat down the hundreds of clothing lines that come through, most of them are all going after the same type of customer. The only brands that really get cut through are going to be ones with personal brands. Personal brand has become the differentiator for businesses. Look at Elon Musk, for example. And then we can also go all the way back to Steve Jobs. Their personal brand acts like a magnet to their product. In order for your clothing line to grow into a clothing brand, you have to have leads. Great clothing lines are built on the foundation of lead generation. Everything else in your clothing line is downstream from lead generation. So it's really important for you to have that personal brand, because that's going to allow for people to know, like, and trust you. You're going to be more invested in what you are doing, because now you have put that authority out there as an influencer that can help them. Now, creating a personal brand can be achieved by becoming a KPI. And a KPI is a term that was coined by Daniel Priestley. Daniel Priestley, honestly, is a phenomenal resource, and he's written a couple of books, and I think I've read 3 books thus far, just kind of outlining, what he thinks and what's his ideas on how to create and generate leads. Key person of influence is something that you should be thinking about. This is how you build your personal brand. This is a book that I do recommend that all of you read. I'm gonna drop a link directly to that book down low. I am not affiliated. I just want you to read it. For those of you who are avid audiobook listeners like myself, it's also available on Audible and all of the platforms that have audiobooks as well. Now, before we get into this, let's just talk about the difference between an influencer and a KPI, or a key person of influence. When you're talking about an influencer is someone that's in the spotlight. So oftentimes that influencer is finding the spotlight. They're finding the conversations. They're finding the groups of people that they can, influence, and they can be the person in that spotlight. But if you are a KPI, you are now creating that spotlight. You're the person that is shining a light on people and things that you believe or purposes that you believe are important. And there are 5 P's that he talks about in his book. The first one is pitch. Develop a compelling pitch that clearly communicates your value. And that's really just standing for something. If there is ideas out there, whether it be about certain types of styles of clothing and things like that, if that's what you stand for, let the world know that. Second P is going to be publish. Share your ideas and expertise through various channels to establish your credibility. You should have a personal Instagram, a personal TikTok, where you're talking about these things and having conversations on your social media platforms, where you are creating content and voicing your opinion on these things. The next P is going to be product. Create high products and services that set you apart. This now goes into your clothing line, whether it be trends or styles or whatever it is. And then you have your clothing line that offers those styles, to those people that are now following you or that are influenced by you. Then that's when you start to get some traction. The fourth P is going to be build a strong online and offline presence to increase your visibility. In order to build a personal brand, you have to have online presence. Not only being on these platforms, but being active on these platforms. Dropping comments, scrolling through relevant hashtags, engaging with accounts. No matter what, people are going to search for you online, and your online profile is going to be your resume. And the last and final P is going to be partnerships. Form strategic alliances and collaborations to enhance your influence. So this is when you can start tapping into influencers, because now you've built a personal brand. Now you can attach yourself with someone else that is an influencer that can then you can put your stuff or your ideas in front of their audience. If you took something from this video, please give it a like. Also share this to someone that you think could benefit from it. Also drop a comment down below if there's anything else that you want me to talk about, or you want me to elaborate, or you have a question, or even if you want to give me some feedback on something that I talked about in this video. Until next time, be impactful, one t-shirt at a time.